I've made it pretty evident in the past that I'm a big fan of Spyro the Dragon. My gosh darn username is a reference to him, for crying out loud. The purple dragon has certainly evolved a lot over the years, and a lot of individuals may now know him simply as the character from the enormous Toys to Life video game franchise, Skylanders. So enormous, in fact, that last year it even got its own cartoon series on Netflix. Pfft, a Skylanders cartoon, are you for real? You can already tell this thing is going to be nothing more than an effortless, shallow cash grab to sell even more toys and merge to stupid kids. Wait a minute, this thing's actually pretty good? What the heck? Yes, Skylanders Academy is actually a pretty darn good cartoon, for what it is especially, and I completely get why most people wouldn't give this show a second look. As I said in the intro, it's a cartoon to arguably one of the biggest cash cow gaming franchises out there, and it's owned by Activision, a company infamous for their ability to, well, milk things dry. The only reason I watch the show is because I'm such a big dork for Spyro. But when you look past the surface, there's a heck of a lot more going for Skylanders Academy than you might think. I know influences and what a show is trying to be don't really matter in the big picture, but I was pretty impressed when I saw that the people working on this show referred to it as a mix between Gravity Falls and Futurama. For two of the most beloved cartoons ever, that is a pretty damn bold statement, and I like it. Yes, this can seem a little bit overconfident, but if someone wants to try and make a video game cartoon that's as endearing as something like Gravity Falls or Futurama, then why not? I'm up for that. The team also brought a bunch of very talented voice actors and actresses on board. Justin Long, Ashley Tisdale, Norm Macdonald, John DiMaggio, and freaking Richard Stephen Horvitz as the main antagonist. The guy who played Invader Zim is playing the loser villain in this show. See what I mean when I say this cartoon has a lot going for it. The Skylanders Academy, the main setting of the show, is a pretty self-explanatory place. Aspiring mythical creatures of all sorts come to train and learn to become fully fledged Skylanders, a protector of all the Skylands, the realm above the clouds in which everyone lives. It's a school for superheroes, basically. Kind of similar to Hogwarts from the Harry Potter series, what with all the magic and the light and darkness stuff and the head of the school who's pretty much just Dumbledore. The story mainly follows a newly graduated group of Skylanders, the main characters of our show. Of course we have Spyro, the very cool and cocky purple dragon. This version of Spyro is pretty alright, although I gotta say, I think they took Spyro's massive ego a bit too far in the first episode of the show. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be a foundation for character development and everything, which is fine, but geez Louise, they make him so cocky in this introduction that it makes him downright unlikable and irritating. Thankfully his character improves throughout the series, along with more or less everyone else. And his Skylanders redesign is a little bit ugly, but not so bad that I'm going to exclaim to the world that Skylanders is the worst thing in the world and ruined my life. Like, come on people, chill out. We also have Stealth Elf the Ninja, who's quite cool. I like how they made her a strong voice of reason female character without giving her a massive god complex and just get angry at everything, like I've seen done so many times before. Strong female character? How do you write one of those again? Oh, who cares? Just make her a snarky killjoy that hates boys. It's refreshing to see how well they pulled it off. There's a Raptor who's a bit of a hothead. You can go ahead and dislike the video now. There's not a lot to say about him. He's a fine friend character and stars in one of the funniest episodes of the show where he takes anger management therapy, but that's about it.
I'm the one who keeps eating your favorite cereal and leaving the box empty!
You mean it wasn't a ghost?
We got Eon, the headmaster and founder of the Academy. A wise elder like you might expect, but he's a real goofball too. He has some kind of obsession with his own beard that the writers take so far that I just can't help but find it hilarious. There's a lot to this character in terms of backstory and multi-layered personality, and I think he was written really well to fit both comedic and serious situations flawlessly. While Eon may be my favourite good guy, he's not my favourite character. The villains of Skylanders Academy are the man-child sorcerer Chaos and his sarcastic servant Glumshanks, and they are undoubtedly the best part of the entire cartoon. I love them so much. Let's put it this way, if I were to redo my first video, Top 10 Loser Cartoon Villains, Chaos would be at the number 2 spot. It's another case of putting these two characters into any situation and they'd make it work.
Glum Dog, how much bling is too much bling?
One can never have too much bling, sir.
They're both so self-aware and mean to each other in a very cartoony fashion, breathing so much personality into the show, to the point where I got excited whenever they showed up on screen. Their chemistry is stupendously charming, and the voice direction was spot on with these roles. The story is also infinitely more interesting and engaging than the Skylanders. Not to say that the Skylanders story is boring, but Chaos and Glumshanks slowly getting more and more equipped to deal with the good guys and becoming a legitimate force to be reckoned with near the end of the series is just so well executed, and I probably wouldn't like the show as much if they weren't in it. This cartoon actually has quite a bit of continuity, believe it or not. Episodes and plot points that seem quite pointless when they're first introduced often evolve drastically into important parts of the story in the long run, and the twists and turns the story take are well implemented almost all of the time, leaving us with a huge turn of events by the season finale, which made me even more hyped for season 2. So yes, I'd say it is almost essential to watch these episodes in order if you do plan on checking out the show. There's plenty of running jokes and other awards for doing so, which makes things a little clearer to see why this show came out on Netflix. They want you to binge watch it. The continuity isn't always incredible, but it's a good incentive to keep watching. Alongside the comedy, another shining aspect that made me laugh out loud a bunch of times, even more so than the majority of modern cartoons I've seen, the awesome upbeat theme song, charming mystical world, and everything else I've talked about thus far. Keep in mind this is all coming from someone that's not even that big a fan of Skylanders. I mean, yes, I'm into Spyro the Dragon, but not so much Skylanders, and this show really impressed me. As much as I'd like Skylanders Academy to be one of the best new cartoons I've seen for how much it's already impressed me, there are quite a few things I do dislike about the show too. A big one being the first episode. Putting Spyro's personality aside, everything does seem a little generic and done before here, making this a very slow and drawn out start to the show, especially since it's 40 minutes long. Wow. I would say skip over this episode if I could, but you just can't for the sake of the plot, which is annoying. Besides the theme song, the soundtrack is also quite bland and basic, which is a real big shame. This is a show about mythical creatures living in the sky. Surely you could have complemented that with some mystical fantasy instrumentals instead of just bleh. Something else I noticed is that the action could use a bit of working on. Not bad all the time, mind you, but certainly something that feels a little bit ignored, and it never really gets any better from the very start, which is strange all things considered about how everything else in the show seemed to get better and grow. The last thing I'd like to bring up is Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, that's right, another PS1 classic mascot makes his appearance in Skylander Academy, which did bring to light my inner 90s kid, with a big grin on my face when he and Spyro started talking to each other. Fan service? Quite possibly, but effective for someone that grew up with these two icons. A lot of fans have taken a pretty big issue with the orange marsupial's debut in the show, however, and all for the same reason. He talks. Crash Bandicoot was always a mute protagonist, minus a few shouts of joy, very similar to Mario in that respect. People think it was a very silly decision giving him a voice and making him a typical extreme superhero in that episode. And to be honest, I have to agree with them. The charm of Crash Bandicoot is that he's stupid. He was made to be like a Looney Tunes character in a video game. He's not supposed to be this radical dude that everyone looks up to, and if you wanted him to talk so bad, you could have easily just brought in Aku Aku to do that for him. He seemed to have done it right in Skylanders Imaginators, why not here? Oh well, at least it's not as bad as the last time Spyro and Crash were in something together. Ugh.
I get it. You crash into things and you're a Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, is that not it?
Skylanders Academy has its flaws like any show, and while the beginning of the show was quite a drag, midway through the season I was laughing at the super funny comedy, and by the end I was on the edge of my seat wanting more. Academy has been renewed for a second and third season, so Netflix clearly has a lot of faith in its success, and done right they should. It's a quirky, hilarious, surprising take on Skylanders, and I think for what it is, they did an amazing job with it. Gravity Falls or Futurama, this certainly isn't, but for a video game cartoon, it's a damn respectable effort. Even if you're not a fan of Skylanders, I'd still recommend this cartoon if you want a fun, wacky and fresh cartoon with a bit of story and continuity in there too. Keep on trucking, Spyro. This has been TorchSheep, and thanks a bunch for watching.